Next up, our next session, before we go into the breakout rooms, is another Flash Talk. And it's on a topic that's somewhat different to the other topics that has already been discussed here today. It's on space tech. Our next speaker is Chris Newlands, and Chris has been named in 4th position in the world's top 10 space entrepreneurs list, beaten only by Richard Branson, Elon Musk, and Jeff Bezos. And today, Chris will show us how satellites from space are helping us to understand things right here on Earth in real time. All the way from Scotland, please welcome Chris Newlands.
Good afternoon. It's fair to say that AI seems to be the topic of the day. It's certainly an enabler. I believe space is too. What I'm about to share with you is not science fiction. I think that's really important. This is a quote from a space lawyer on the 20th of September of this year. We have 2 applications in the App Store right at this moment in time that consumes real-time satellite imagery. We have a proposal in play that, if successful, which we hope it will be, by Easter, we will be Scotland's only 2nd ever unicorn. So it's exciting times for the space sector. But privacy is something that people get concerned about when they watch what I'm about to show to you now. So please understand that privacy is sacrosanct, really, really important as we move forward. So space offers huge commercial and societal opportunities. It also is a threat. It has massive applications and massive implications. It's the next engine for growth, which seems to be the theme of today's sessions as well. But analysts believe it will be the biggest sector by 2050, which I think is quite pessimistic. This video I'm about to share with you in a second illustrates the number of satellites that AGI assume will happen between now and the end of this decade. It looks like an alien invasion when you look at it slowly. If you look at 2026, you see a very good brand called Canon. Canon are launching 100 satellites, Earth observation satellites. When an FMCG organization starts to launch satellites, you know that things are changing in one way, size, shape, or form. But the absolute sheer volume of change is quite remarkable. The BBC stated that in 2021, there were 107,000 new satellites in orbit. We're not quite on track yet because I think the number of launches are not quite there, but there was 1 launch every 3 days, and 6 satellites per day were launched in 2022. It really is exponential. Today I'm going to focus on Earth observation, which is the poor cousin to space comms. Everyone talks about Starlink, OneWeb, and all the rest as well, which is it's a fantastic strategy, and 3 billion people will have persistent access to the internet for the first time ever. But Earth observation is also very important because visualized data is really, really important in so many ways. It's how we consume it, and it also can simplify technologies in our mind too. If you imagine a satellite with optical capabilities passes over any point on Earth roughly every 50 minutes currently, every 50 minutes. By 2026, that'll be every 20 minutes. And potentially by 2030, if everything comes to pass, and if I've got anything to do with it, it'll be faster than this, it'll be every 20 seconds. On average. So Sunday Times made a bold statement in 2022. Just for the record, we've been working on this since 2017. Space tourism will grab the headlines, but the money will be made by using space to provide services on Earth. Weather comes from space, yeah? Right at this moment in time, satellite navigation comes from space. But 99% of all satellites are not focused on Mars or Saturn, they're focused on Earth. In the last 12 months, if you think about it, AI has become prevalent. You can send text via satellites. You can make phone calls via satellites. We'll talk about AI a wee bit later, but I'm going to be a wee bit controversial, so we'll see how that goes. But what's next in the world of space? So SpaceEye is my organization. I'm the founder and the inventor of this organization, but fundamentally it focuses on the commercialization of space, and no one has cracked this, quite frankly. So no one has cracked the commercialization of space, which is quite a statement to make. But we have the recipe for that, and we're sharing it right at this moment in time. And hopefully with some education, we can actually move this forward at pace as well, in hand in glove with AI. AI is an enabler, space is also an enabler. We focus on real-time satellite imagery and the Internet of Things data. And our patented method is about the merger of both of those things. There are 15 billion Internet of Things devices right at this moment in time in circulation. It's a $1 trillion marketplace. That sounds like the commercial opportunity of a lifetime as far as we're concerned. We're focusing on location. We're focusing on smartphones, wearables, audio, videos, or static imagery, and the merger of that with real-time satellite imagery. It's much more complex than that, but it also includes radar too. So we can see the world at night, we can see the world through clouds, and smoke when it comes to wildfires, which is quite a topical thing at this moment in time too, which leads me on to this. So you will see, if you look at the top left-hand side, that is 3 firefighters and 1 asset as well. So it's 2 firefighters and an asset fighting the Greek fires in the summer of this year. 2,500 fires were actually raging across Europe, 1,000 fires in Quebec in Canada. It's horrific. And right at this moment in time, if you then look at historic satellite imagery, it adds more value. It's a fantastic product that's out there. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. You combine that with real-time satellite imagery, you make better, more informed decisions. You save lives. And that's really, really important. But also you save CO2. If anyone in here has an E in their ESG agenda, let's come and speak. Grab a coffee, and I'll show you how we can help move the dial significantly. This is the best marketing tool. It's a gift, quite frankly, but we'll chat about that later, I'm sure. Down the bottom, you'll see the Ever Given incident in the Suez Canal. It blocked the Suez Canal. It was all over the news at the time. It blocked $9.6 billion worth of cargo on a daily basis. It had a huge impact in commodities and pricing and markets going forward. The ability to not only see what's happening in real time, but add the fact that 18,000 containers were on that ship. When that ship gets to port and it's like a swarm of containers leaving, every one of those trackers says, where am I? Where am I? Where am I? And we will capture that from space. And we are uniquely in the position to do so. So how does it work? We've solved the problem of taking real-time satellite imagery and actually made it shareable on smartphones, retain the metadata and identify the asset, the person, the livestock, whatever the case may be. And fundamentally, that is now live. We're looking to industrialize that. When you understand the world of satellites, it's really, really complicated. It is genuinely, space is complicated, it's hard, it's full of risks, but there are over 20 image formats out there. Is anyone old enough to remember VHS and Betamax? Okay, 20 image formats, okay? It's hardly interoperable. So we are building with our partners, and by the way, we're already working with a number of brands in this room. If we're not working with you already, let's have a conversation again over a coffee. Hopefully lots of coffee. I'll be full of caffeine by the end of today. There's 20 image formats. That isn't interoperable. You need to have 1 image format. We have a suggestion, but we're not stuck to that suggestion. We're happy. That's not where we come in. We're not really interested per se. We just want to have 1 interoperable image. What you can then do is you can have satellite companies selling 1 image 10,000 times, not piecemeal. And that's fundamentally what's happening just now. It really is a fantastic opportunity. You add in the Internet of Things data, combine that together, and at the moment there's a pin on the real-time satellite imagery that's captured within our methodology. We'll build an API. Developers across the world can pull that down and build the next suite of products and services and changing the world. AI is very important too, by the way, just for the records. Let's talk about interoperability. And before we do so, I want to talk about a lady called Linda McCutcheon. Linda McCutcheon was a very good friend of mine. She died 6 weeks ago. She was the mother of the internet. You talk about women who actually changed the world. She sat in the room with 19 other men, including Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, and they set the rules for internet marketing, the rules that persist to this very day. We need to build rules that everyone abides by, that fundamentally we can build a mass market situation where we can start to save the planet. These rules persist to this day, as I say, and as I say, for me, she's a loss, and she sat in my advisory team thereafter as well. Anyway, so 6 weeks ago, a very lovely lady. Interoperability is critical. You need to put the person in the satellite image for this to be talking about democratizing. People talk about things an awful lot, but democratizing satellite, real-time satellite imagery requires it to be unique, personable, and you need to see you and your family potentially in that satellite image, or your staff or your assets, or whatever the case may be. One universal image is absolutely critical in that scenario to put it into context. So Earth observation is absolutely essential to what we do. Comms are essential to what we do too. But I do believe we are on the verge of something really significant. What we have within SpaceI is the ability to create a new sector, a new platform that will touch every single sector. Think of all the various applications. I'll chat about that in a second. But we're talking to police forces, Interpol, NPCC, governments. You've no idea. But fundamentally, they're all saying, and I hate to use the word game changer, but it is a game changer. Crime, physical crime, could become a thing of the past in some instances potentially. And fundamentally, going forward, things like people trafficking could become something that we all talk about historically going forward as well. Pandemic management as well, and wildfires, as we've said already. So we're working on various projects at this moment in time. These are current projects that are live at this moment in time. Defence, I can't talk about it. I'd have to kill you. So we won't be doing that today, okay? Then you've got maritime. Maritime is looking at things like insurance, risk, piracy, pollution. These are all aspects that obviously real-time satellite imagery or near real-time satellite imagery would be capturing. We have an oil and gas project on the go just now that actually, fundamentally, there's an awful lot of fraud and theft happening just now across the world. It's a very violent industry. And the ability to identify as the satellite passes over all the good people in the image, the people who should be there, the oil workers, the security people, and keep them safe. And equally using AI, brought that in, you can actually identify who should not be in the satellite picture and task them to stop what they're doing because it's costing billions. It's also increasing production. And when they leave the site, they leave the oil to spill into the ecosystem as well. They don't really care, quite frankly, thereafter. So fundamentally, that's something that we are very passionate about, as we've said. Here's the controversial statement. AI is absolutely essential. It's mind-boggling, and I'm a bit scared, going back to Mark's point before. I can see where this was going to take us going forward. But fundamentally, in my opinion, AI needs SpaceI. So that, again, we'll have that conversation, that debate later. And why is that the case? Because AI is very much about anonymized data. Where people are concerned, it cannot be anything else other than anonymized. It'd be a breach of your human rights, GDPR. There's a number of lawyers in the room today. You can imagine the potential lawsuits thereafter. What SpaceI brings personalized data, contextualized visually from space in real time. It's the visualization of this, which I think is incredibly powerful. Talking of visuals, let's talk about cows. This morning, I flew over from Glasgow. I saw several fields. There were several animals in those fields. So I tasked the satellite to take a picture. I'm lying, by the way, just if you can imagine, bear with me just now. And there's 59 animals in that field. Those animals are cows. AI can tell you they're cows. They can tell you 7 are white, 10 are brown, and the rest are black. But I can tell you their names, and I can tell you if they're pregnant. I can tell you if they're distressed, or if there's a flood, or there's an earthquake at this moment in time as well. These are all things that add that personalised ability to make better, more informed decisions. And that goes for, do I leave the house today, right at this moment in time, because there's a traffic jam and I pollute the earth by actually sitting in a traffic jam? How many times have you asked your partner, is Facebook, is that traffic jam away? Is that set of traffic cones still there? So that ability to make better, more informed decisions. That's what the farmer sees today. By the way, the pins move around, okay, because they're cows, okay? But fundamentally, that is actually what they see. So let's talk about the future. Let's talk about autonomous vehicles and real-time satellite navigation, traffic, just that one simple thing. Bear in mind, every sector will be touched by this. Autonomous vehicles need to know what's happening miles ahead. If you think about the fifth element with Bruce Willis, the ability for traffic to fly past each other at any given rate. To be level 5 autonomous, you need to know what's happening in front, as well as what's happening around about your car in a context. Imagine you have a heart attack. I'm up here just now, I have a heart attack, and the ambulance can get to me 30 seconds earlier because it not only sees the red line in the SatNav, but it can see the traffic's getting beyond the broken down vehicle and can get you, rather than taking a detour, it gets you 30 seconds earlier. 30 seconds saves lives. We're going to show you a video just now, but one final thought. We are entirely agnostic. We want to work with you all. We genuinely do. I mean, I think that's really important. We're already engaged with a number of brands, as I already said. Some in this room have extensive space strategies. And they're actually underpinned by patents. There is a land grab going on just now. If you don't think there is, let's have a conversation. But we can help everyone, those with a strategy, those without a strategy, move this forward.
This is satellite imagery, but not as you know it. Our patented strategy focuses on user interactions within real-time satellite imagery. Bank of America believes the space economy will be worth 1.4 trillion US dollars within 7 years. In 2022, on average, 6 satellites per day were released into orbit. Soon, thousands of cameras will be focused on Earth. When a household brand like Canon commit to over 100 Earth observation satellites, you know massive change is coming. These are key steps towards the mass market adoption of real-time satellite imagery. Smartphones can now make calls and send texts via satellites. Real-time satellite imagery is a natural next step. If Google Earth was a live vision of our planet, imagine the commercial and societal opportunities it would create. So why does real-time satellite imagery matter? It allows better, more informed decisions to be made, saving time, money, lives, and possibly even our planet. Maps are often supported by historic satellite imagery, which can be years old. A real-time image changes reactions significantly. Our patent captures the merging of GPS or location data, still images, video, audio, biometrics, and data from wearables merged with real-time satellite imagery. Livestock, crops, and assets are captured too. As you can see, this has the potential to touch every single sector. The commercial applications are obvious: logistics, defence, agriculture, media, marketing, and mapping. However, the societal benefits are absolutely huge too. Ask yourself, what could your organisation do with this capability? What opportunities and threats does this create in your sector? Space needs to be on every board's agenda with immediate effect. Curious? Let's talk.
Over a coffee. Anyway, the space domain is absolutely a gift. It offers us context, but we need to agree the rules, create a standard or standards to do so, and collaborate. We need to collaborate more. The world's on fire, for goodness sake. Let's start being adult about it. We can all make money, but we can all make a difference together. Linda McCutcheon leaves a legacy. What will ours be? Thank you.